be expecting quite a lot today.
Absolutely. Of course, there's the King, first of all, meeting with the President, William Ruto, and of course, the Queen, Camilla, as well, will be meeting with the First Lady, Rachel Ruto. There's just an array of activities that will be happening in the next 4 days. But first things first, we link up with George Maringa, who is at State House, Nairobi, this morning, to just bring us up to speed on what is happening right now. George, good morning. If you can hear us clearly, you're looking sharp this morning. What is happening around a State House area? What do you expect in the next few minutes or so?
Thank you very much, Flora. Good morning to you and our dear viewers on TV47 Morning Cafe. I believe they're serving themselves some hot coffee, tea or water, whatever they are having, because it is a cold day in Nairobi. However, that does not seem to dim the expectation and anticipation for the arrival of King Charles Philip Arthur George Windsor and Queen Camilla Perkables, or famously known as King Charles III and Queen Camilla of the United Kingdom. We are at State House right here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, awaiting the arrival of their Majesties the King and Queen. Now, not so much is happening behind me. As you can see, we are at a parking lot, but even as we wait for the formal movement to the reception area where the King and Queen will be received, that is, just what we are. But on the right side is where, towards, or rather behind that roundabout, is where we will be able to proceed later on for that important reception, the arrival, formal arrival at State House, Nairobi, where the two will be received by President William Ruto and Mama Rachel Ruto, the First Lady. Now, of course, on my left, I just want to show you what is happening. We are not alone at TV47. Of course, a battery of journalists is here. Oh, well, there is a car that, is here, but that is the tent, the holding area for a battery of journalists, both local and international, as you await to move to the place that Kenyans, are familiar with, where the state visits, the state receptions, of course, usually take place. And the King Charles III, their Majesties, the King and Queen, landed yesterday at around 10:30 p.m. And they, of course, were received by Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs, Musalia Mudavadi, and the British High Commissioner to Kenya, that is Neil Wigan, among other leaders. That was just a low-key, formal, or rather a reception at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Of course, they spent the night in Kenya, and today morning, from about perhaps 10 a.m. thereabouts, in the next hour or so, we shall be having that formal, or rather that official arrival right here at State House, Nairobi. And of course, the arrival has been anticipated. This is the first by the British monarch, that is King Charles III, and his wife Queen Camilla, where they will be touring Kenya 6 months after their coronation, the ascension of King Charles III to the throne following the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. Now, the King has visited Kenya privately in the past, and that, of course, has been documented before, but of course we shall be waiting to see what this tour by the King Charles and Queen Camilla will be focusing on about. Remember, of course, the itinerary has been shared, but of course, due to security reasons, not so much detail has been shared in terms of even the routes. We also anticipate to see what the King and Queen will be up to. Now, the maiden state visit to this Commonwealth country will be a 4-day one from Tuesday, that is today, to Friday, which will be, of course, an important tour by King Charles III. And he has visited 3 times before, but this will be, of course, his first since he became king after the death of Queen Elizabeth II last year. Now, a lot has, of course, been anticipated in terms of the arrival. We will be waiting to see what the Queen Camilla and Mama Rachel Ruto, the First Lady of the Republic, will be having to share and to converse later on, of course, during the day, a jam-packed day that the two have, or rather, in this case, the 4, that is the King and Queen, President and First Lady, as they receive their visitors. And you'll remember that King Charles, of course, being a ceremonial visit, is coming to Kenya under the invitation of President Dr. William Ruto. So not much is happening. Of course, the weather keeps changing here and there. There have been very heavy showers since morning, since dawn. We have been here. But of course, soon as activity starts, Kenyans can trust TV 47, the home of untold stories, to bring you live, or rather wall-to-wall coverage, blow-by-blow occurrence of events from State House as well as other places that their majesties, the King and Queen, will be visiting. Of course, TV 47 being the home of untold stories. Over to you, Flora and Stanley.
Thank you, George, for that. Most definitely keeping us on speed on what is happening in State House. As he was alluding, a lot will be happening then. We'll be crossing over when all those particular activities will be starting. And again, as he was mentioning, due to the whole security reasons, the whole itinerary
cannot be disclosed, yes.
Oh, yes.
Just a mention of where they will be. Of course, expect them to be at Uhuru Gardens. It's where we saw the president last week look at how prepared those people out there.
Yes.
And remember, this is the first visit by the king, actually, since his coronation.
Oh,
remember, when the president was inaugurated, he also visited the UK as the very first foreign trip, of course, for the Queen's burial. So I think it's
But then even as you also say that this has come on the backdrop of Kenyans calling for public apology. The experts were here earlier talking about how this will be done, and we want to take you to Nakuru, where our very own Chichi Josephine is, just to talk to the residents there and get their sentiments on should the majesties actually publicly apologize, and how should this be done. Chichi.
Stan, thank you so much. And like you said, yes, we indeed coming live to you from Nakuru County. And yes, King Charles III arrived yesterday in Kenya. And of course, he will be touring Kenya for 4 days. And his visit will be watched closely around the globe. Why? It is symbolic. And understand that it is his first visit as a king also in an African nation, and also as and his first visit in a Commonwealth member country since he ascended to the throne last year. And of course, understand that even as he comes, he's facing calls on addressing the legacy, or rather the 8-decade legacy on the British colonial rule. And of course, on the flip side, his coming also is expected to impact Kenya in one way or another. Of course, in terms of strengthening ties between UK and Kenya, and also strengthening the trade relations between UK and Kenya. And therefore, I am here to talk to residents to tell me what they think of the royal visit. And of course, if they have hope that whatever they lamented, remember that back Kenyans lamented that they needed the compensation, or rather the Mau Mau people to be compensated. Well, let's hear from locals pertaining the royal visit. Basi, Bwana Kimani wa Kimani, talk to me. Tell me, first of all, before we even get into details, how do you view the royals? You as a person.
Hawa tunawaita malkia hawa. Ni wangwana ndio, na tuna furaha tunapo washika ugeni hapa nchini Kenya, ikiwa ni mara ya kwanza kwake kiongozi ama mfalme Charles tangu kuteuliwa kwake kama mfalme. Kumbuka hapo awali tumekuwa na dadaye, tumekuwa na Queen Elizabeth hapa nchini Kenya, na tuna uhusiano wa karibu. Nchi yetu ya Kenya na Uingereza, inakumbuka kwamba sisi tumekuwa wakoloni wa Uingereza. Tulipata ukombozi wetu kutoka kwa nchi ya Uingereza. Kwa hivyo nchi yetu na nchi ya Uingereza ni nchi ambazo zina uhusiano wa karibu mno. Na amepata ugeni ama amekaribishwa Kenya wakati ambapo rais wetu William Ruto amekuwa akiyatalii mataifa ya mbali. Ametalii China, ametalii kule Russia. Ako na uhusiano na Putin, ako na uhusiano mzuri pale Russia. Tunatarajia kuona, je, uchumi wetu na ule wa Uingereza utayuba upande upi wakati mfalme King Charles atakapokuwa akifika hapa nchini. Vile vile tunataka kuona wale wapiganiaji ukombozi na uhuru wa nchi yetu ya Kenya ambao wamekuwa wakilia kulipwa fidia na nchi ya Uingereza. Je, amekuja na kibeti, amekuja na cheti, amekuja na hudi ya kulipa fidia wale wapiganiaji uhuru wa nchi yetu ya Kenya? Vile amefika hapa nchini wakati hapa Nakuru, ile hospitali ambayo tumekuwa nayo tangu wakati wa ukoloni, ambayo ilianzishwa mwaka 1921, War Memorial Hospital, imerejelea kwa serikali. Tunamwalika vile hapa kwetu Nakuru aweze kutalii hata buga letu la wanyama hapa, na ikiwezekana kama walivyofanya wageni wengine wa hulka yake, hata yeye apatiwe mtoto wa chita, mtoto wa duma, ili wakati anaporejelea Uingereza aende akaimarisha utalii wetu hapa nchini Kenya.
However, I need to ask you something, Bwana Kimani wa Kimani. Do you think the king will acknowledge the shadows of colonialism? Unahitaji, maana umezungumzia swala la Maumau kuweza kulipwa fidia. Labda unahisi kwamba ataikubali?
Hana budi kukubali ya kwamba sisi tulikuwa chini ya ukoloni wao na tuliweza kujikomboa. Wale wangwana, wale mababu zetu waliweza kujikomboa kwa njia ambayo haikuwa rahisi vile, lakini hana budi sharti atambue ya kwamba tunao wale ambao waliweza kupigania uhuru huo. Na kuna sadfa kubwa sana, kuna sadfa dio ambapo Dedan Kimathi, mmoja wa wapiganiaji uhuru, hii leo hata kama alituacha, ndio tunaposherehekea kuzaliwa kwake.
Naam. Na labda wakati pia tunazungumzia hilo kisiasa, labda kuja kwake kama king ama mfalme, unahisi kutafanya ama kutatoa ama kutakuwa na impact gani katika taifa lake?
Lazima sharti kutakuwa na mabadiliko ya kisiasa, kwa sababu kando na siasa za hapa Kenya, kuna siasa ambazo tunaziita global politics. Na wakati huu tunataka kuona ama tunayo matarajio ya kwamba siasa za ulimwengu zitakuwa na mchezo hapa Kenya. Tunatarajia kuona zitacheza vipi, zitayuba upande upi, kwa sababu tumeona Russia, tumeona China, sasa wacha tuone Uingereza italeta siasa za aina gani.
Naam, shukran sana Kimani wa Kimani. Bwana Benson, kindly allow me talk to you, and I first want you to answer this question. You as a person, how do you view the royals?
As a person, of course, I take it very greatly that at least the royal king has come to Africa and indeed into Kenya as his first visit to the Commonwealth countries, and with pride for that, because majorly it will improve on our situation at the global politics and also at the global levels, that at least the king has come to Kenya. At least the king has acknowledged that Kenya is one of the most important colony in terms of the former British protectorate.
And probably what do you think is in his visits for Kenya?
I think part of what he has been able to do, even when listening to the ambassador, they have been talking about maybe improving the partnership between the UK and the Kenyan government in terms of so many, you are understanding, in terms of Kenya, you look like Kenya in the past has looked at the east, and also it's looking also at the west, but in particular also Britain want to gain a part of the chunk of the economy that is actually being propelled by Kenyan part and its economy globally.
How about politically, what do you think?
I think politically it is going to improve on the ratings of Kenya, that at least one of the royal has actually come to Kenya, and he has actually acknowledged that he can come to Kenya. That is a plus for our government, that at least we are being acknowledged by the king himself from London.
Now, of course, I need to ask you something, because the king and the president will also, it is expected that they will revisit the past. Do you think the king will acknowledge the shadows of colonialism and whatever happened during the colonial?
We have seen King Charles actually forbearing himself towards acknowledging the past mistakes, like what the British Parliament did. They acknowledge that actually colonialism affected many African countries. We also expect that to a large extent, if the king can allow himself, he can acknowledge that what they did to Kenyans through the Mau struggle, it was a bad thing, and this will actually lead to compensation or coming up with programs that are geared to uplifting Kenyans in terms of acknowledging the past atrocity committed by the British Empire.
Do you think, or rather, do you have faith that the Mau people will be compensated so far, sir?
So far, let me say, when you look at the in terms of compensation, it has become a tall order for our country. But I think mostly what actually the UK has actually insisted on the issues of coming up with programs to be able to uplift the lives of the sons of the Mau Mau in general, because right now we don't have a database of all the Mau Mau people within the Kenya. So we may come with programs geared towards uplifting areas perceived to be Mau Mau infested areas that where Mau Mau actually were coming from. So we are not going to rely so much on compensation, but acknowledgement of the atrocity so that they can come up with programs to uplift the lives of Kenyans.
So as a person, you think that his coming will, of course, impact Kenyans positively?
Yes, it will impact positively. And you can look right now as the world is now fighting, Kenya is hosting the king. And for him to come here even and acknowledge where his mother actually was coronated as a king, as a queen here, and all those things, it actually on the overall tourism will come, because many people will say where the king has gone, let us also go there so that we can also visit and see, and this will overly improve on our foreign exchange in terms of tourism.
So we should warmly welcome the king.
We should warmly welcome him with a lot of gladness, in as much as we may want to look at the past, but the past is gone, but we now have to focus on the future together with the king.
All right, thank you, Bono Benson. Therefore, Stan, those are residents of this particular county, of course, expressing what they feel concerning the royal visit of King Charles III. And of course, they've talked a lot pertaining what they expect that the king, or rather when the king visits, there will be an impact, or rather positive impacts will be felt, more especially when we talk about the ties between UK and Kenya, and of course, the trade relations between UK and Kenya. But of course, understand that his coming comes at a time when the royal family is under pressure to apologize for the role they played, or rather for the role they played in the transatlantic slave trade. And also it is expected that they will have, or rather the president and the king will have a discussion concerning the compensation of, or rather the second phase of the compensation of the Mau Mau people. And of course another discussion that is so much that Kenyans really expect that will be held between the king and the president is about the artifacts, the returning of the Kenyan artifacts that were taken from our museum and taken to the UK museum. So we expect that even as King Charles tours Kenya, there will be, of course, a lot that Kenyans will gain from his visit. Therefore, allow me hand over the mantle to you, Stan, as I also get to hear more from other residents concerning the royal visit. Over to you, Stan. My name is Chichi Josephine.
Well, Stan.
Right. Too much history there to debunk there. Yeah. Thank you, Chichi, for that, breaking it down and also getting the sentiments from Nakuru residents. Let's stick around, still in Nakuru.
Yeah, still in Nakuru. We head over to Naivasha and link up with our reporter, Willie Dennis Njuru. Good morning, Willie. How are you doing this morning? And the king and the queen are currently in the country. What are the residents of Naivasha saying about that? I understand the Rift Valley part is also the part that the residents have been affected in terms of the land acquisition back then. So how are people taking their coming to Kenya, and what do they have to say concerning this visit?
Thank you very much, Limuki, for granting me this opportunity to interact with the locals here in Naivasha. And as you have indeed mentioned there, Naivasha residents are quite skeptical about their comments regarding to the Queen's visit. And as you can see just behind me, is just people up and about their businesses. Most of them are just here listening to what they have to say about the comments about what the visit, the King's visit around here. But nonetheless, they come, listen to the topic, and they say they have nothing to say much in regard to this. A few of them who are here have said, they have alluded to the fact that there were atrocities meted on Kenyans as at that time, and there was much that was to seek for an apology from the citizenry. And because this big king is coming to this country as under time as such as now, it is indeed a right time where, as other places like Nanyuki and Nyeri have been saying, that we need to have an apology from the king, and that should also coincide with monetary value that would perhaps just for the soul, to quell the pain that was meted on Kenyans back then. The issues that have since again risen up is the land belonged to the black man before the white man came, and the white man since again took over the land and again sold the land. Those are there are few issues that the citizens here have said when the king comes here, they should be hearing from him some apologies in regard to these issues, such as that, where we need to hear the king say there was this that happened. There was beyond the physical pain on the physical pain of the citizens who are then our forefathers. And everybody is waiting to see what the delivery of speech will have to be in regard to what the clarion call has been. I will take it back to you in studios, my colleague Flora, and we wait to see how the king jets back into the country in style, following the footsteps of the queen, who is now late. Back to you in studios, Limuki.
Right, thank you, Willie Dennis Jiru, right there in Naivasha. It is symbolic, actually, that place, symbolic, the whole bit of the British colonies around there, the whole Naivasha kind of area. So it is going to be interesting to see even the kind of residents there, the whole call for apology.
Yes.
Yes, but I remind even for the viewer, I will be giving you live updates as we continue in State House. Remember, the king and the queen, the majesty, is expected to be in State House this particular morning, and there will be the whole full military honors. So definitely expect that. The Queen Camilla will be meeting First Lady.
First Lady Mama
Yes.
Rachel Ruto later, and of course they will also be touring Uhuru Gardens as the president and the king. Yeah, that is pretty much what we expect to be happening today, but there's just a lot that is expected of this visit because of even tightening the bilateral ties between Kenya and the UK.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but right now let's take a short commercial break. We'll be back with more. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Cafe, and today is a special coverage of the King and Queen's visit. And right now we're about to cross over to Laikipia County, specifically in Nyandarua, and that's where Laban Muhinda is.
Oh, yes.
Well,
but it's interesting, but even as we're going to be crossing to Taita Taveta County, some of these counties are focusing on are really synonymous in matters of land injustices. Yes. We can cross over to Taita Taveta County first and get to know from our reporter there, boots on ground, how what the residents there are saying on the state visit by the Majesties.
Well, thank you very much from studio Stanley Nyaringita and Flora Limuki. And today here in Taita Taveta, I'll be joined by some of the residents here in Voi Town to just share with us their views on the visit of the King Charles III. Na karibu mzee, habari ya asubuhi, na pengine ujio wake King Charles unapokea namna gani?
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Ernest Kombo, and I would like to say that the coming of the King and the Prince to Kenya is a honor to Kenyans, and being the first tour outside the UK in a Commonwealth country is a privilege to Kenyans, and I think they are coming here is going to strengthen our ties with Kenya and make more tourist attractions, because most of the things that we have been benefiting from the tourist attraction from UK, and while visiting these Commonwealth graves, it is a honor to us. And I would like also to appeal to our leaders in the country, because you see those are British and they are coming to honor their heroes. And we should also come up with that idea of honoring our heroes when it comes to Mashujaa Days. We should not be talking only about Mashujaa Days and then we are not honoring the heroes. So to me, I think we are going to strengthen the ties. And also these ties, I understand there are some British army training in Kenya here. I think that is part of the tourism, and it is bringing some cash here. But all in all, I would like them also to embrace Kenyans, because we are still their children and we need to have their expertise so that we can grow to reach their level. And I think that is my opinion.
What can you tell about how we are prepared? There were some talks here and there about the presidents moving around the world. And President, just the other day, he said that he's the Kenyan agent that is going out to make sure that he sells the idea of Kenya and other countries' partnership and bringing more investment in Kenya. Do you think the idea of President has actually motivated this visit of the King?
It might have maybe participated in one way or the other, but if from where I stand, I think we should the president and the government should look at the core issues that are affecting Mwananchi, instead of trotting all over the world looking. He can also send the ambassadors to do the job that is going. Otherwise, I think he should look on the ground, because trotting outside, you preach to preach the gospel of Kenya, and then on the ground there is a problem. To me, it doesn't make sense at all.
What do you think President should do now?
The president, what he should do, I think, is to come out with a foreign policy that are beneficial to our country. And those foreign policy are very much crucial to those people who are behind the president, because they should also understand, because most of the time we hear this PS speaking this differently, and it doesn't paint a good picture to us as a nation.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ernest Kombo. Abo, pengine wewe una maoni gani tunapozungumza kuhusiana na swala hili?
Kwa majina ni Bernard Nzioki wa Taita Taveta County. Ujio wake mfalme hapa Kenya pia ni matumaini kwamba Kenya, kando na huyo mfalme ama wale waliokufa wakati wa vita ama wakati wa ukoloni ule, wakati ule. Sasa hata sisi inafaa serikali ikuje na mfumo ambapo na sisi tunasherehekea wale wetu wa Kenya. Kama hapa Mwakitau, hapa Kariakoo, nimepata habari kwamba kulipatikana vijusi ama maiti zilizozikwa pale. Sasa ni serikali kae na ione kwamba hata sisi wa Kenya tunaheshimu waliokufa wakati wa ukoloni.
Na pengine sasa hivi tunapozungumzia ujio wake mfalme, pengine unahisi vipi hilo litachangia, kama wewe kama Mkenya unahisi litabadilisha vipi hisia za Wakenya pamoja na mataifa ya nje?
Inaweza badilisha, but ile kitu tunajua itafanyika sana ni wageni watakuwa wengi na mji kama Nairobi, Mombasa watapata chochote, watapata fedha. Ile kitu muhimu ni kwamba serikali ikuje na mfumo ule ambao utasaidia mwananchi wa Kenya.
Asante. Thank you very much, and as you can hear, those are just some of the residents here in Taita Taveta County just speaking, giving their views pertaining the visit of King Charles. Reporting TV 47 here in Taita Taveta County, I'm Julius Mariki Mwakivo.
Well, thank you, Julius Mariki, for that update. And now we cross over to Nyahururu, where our reporter Laban Muhinda is to give us an update of what the people there are expecting concerning the King's and Queen's visit. And remember, Laikipia County actually is a home for the British Army Training Center.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And actually, even in numbers, about 40.3% of the land there is, native colonialists. So it is quite a huge deal, even for what they actually would say.
Yes.
Laban?
Naam, shukrani sana mwenzangu kwenye studio kuu za Nairobi na kupata kwa njia mbashara zaidi nikiwa hapa eneo la Njambini, eneo bunge la Kinangopuku, ni kaunti ya Nyandarua. Na nchi ya Kenya inapotarajia kumpokea mfalme wa Uingereza humu nchini leo, hisia mseto zinazidi kutolewa na baadhi ya Wakenya humu nchini. Nami hapa ninaye mwanawe aliyekuwa shujaa wa uhuru, Dedan Kimathi. Ningependa kusikia hisia zake ni zipi kuhusiana na safari hiyo. Karibu sana.
Kwa majina yangu naitwa Evelyn Wanjoko Kimathi, mtoto wa aliye mpiganaji wa Mau Mau, Dedan Kimathi. Siku ya leo tuko hapa Njambini tukisherehekea miaka 103 tangu ile siku Dedan Kimathi, shujaa wa Mau Mau, alipozaliwa. Siku ya leo tunaweza sema tuko na furaha mingi sana, kwa sababu hii sio sherehe ya kawaida, kwa sababu tunapanda miti 1,100 tukishirikiana na Kenya Defence Forces, Catholic St. Paul University, East African University, NYS, Kinagop Vocational Training, Kenya Forest Service, Carefree, Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company. Na hii itakuwa siku kubwa sana. Kuna wanajeshi wa KDF kama 300, kwa jumla tutakuwa watu 1,000 ambao wataingia kichakani hii ya Sasumu Dam kupanda miti. Furaha nyingine ambao tuko nao ni kwamba mfalme wa Uingereza King Charles anafika siku hii ya leo, ambao ni siku ya Dedan Kimathi kuzaliwa. Sijui kama ni coincidence, sijui kama ni kupangwa, ilipangwa. Kwa kwetu tunasema tu ni Mungu amepanga hii kitu, kwa sababu sisi wa Kenya tuna hamu kubwa sana na tunamngojea sana alete birthday gift ya Dedan Kimathi. Na birthday ile tunangojea ni mfalme wa Uingereza aweze kutusaidia kutuambia ni wapi huyu shujaa wetu wa Mau Mau amezikwa. Sisi tuna imani kubwa kwamba amezikwa gereza kuu la Kamiti, lakini kama tunavyojua Uingereza wanajua sana kuweka rekodi zao. Rekodi za Uingereza watufungulie zile archives tuweze kujua Dedan Kimathi haswa amezikwa wapi pale Kamiti. na pia kutoka kwa huyu mfalme wa Uingereza tunangojea kwa hamu kubwa sana akaweza kuomba msamaha on behalf ya watu wa Uingereza kwa zile matendo za kidhuluma walifanyia wazazi wetu ambao walisema sisi tunataka nchi yetu ambao tumepokonywa. Mwingereza alikuja hapa Kenya akachukua ile ardhi nono the fertile land, pia akachukua uhuru wetu. Haungeweza kuvaa trouser, ungevaa kinyasa, ungepaswa ubembe pasipoti ama idhini ya kukuwezesha utoke kutoka hii town mpaka town nyingine. Vijana wetu ama askari wetu hata kama walikuwa na support Uingereza, wao walikuwa nawekwa vitu zinaitwa batidhi hapa kwa magoti. Kulikuwa na uhasama mwingi sana. Haungeweza kukuza kahawa ama kukuza majani. Ng'ombe kuweka kwa mnada ama kwa dip ungelipishwa shilingi 10 ng'ombe moja. Na saa hizo kwa mwezi moja mtu alikuwa analipwa shilingi 2 kwa mwezi. Niambie, Mwafrika mweusi angepata wapi shilingi 10 ya kupeleka ng'ombe kwa mnanda ili zitoe zile ticks? Uhasama ukazidi, watu wakaanza kuuawa. 1952 ndio viongozi wetu wa kisiasa wakashikwa wakapelekwa kule Rokitang. Ndio vijana barubaru wakao militant wing wakaingia msituni wakasema sisi tunaingia msituni, tumeona hao watu ni watu wako na uongozi wa kidhuluma, tuende tukaseme watu watoke nchi yetu ili sisi tuweze kujitawala.
Naam, shukrani sana mwenzangu, na kama vile umesikia ni kuwa ni ombi lake kwa ziara hii ya mfalme wa Uingereza iweze kuangazia masaibu waliopitia familia za mashujaa wa uhuru wa Mau Mau, na kuwa wangependa vile vile mfalme Charles aweze kuomba msamaha kwa dhulma ambazo wa Kenya au wale waliokuwa wakipigania uhuru waliweza kupitia nyakati za ukoloni. Kutoka kwangu mie Laban Muhinda nikiwa hapa Njambini, kaunti ya Nyandarua, sina la ziada ila kurejesha usukani kwako studio.
Naam, asante sana Laban Muhinda, and we now head to Kisii County.
Oh, yes.
Quite a drama we saw yesterday.
Oh yes, the whole raid by GSU officers in the governor's office, the Gusii Stadium office, and just to link up with Kombo. Kombo, good morning. Even despite the fact that we're talking about the Majesty's visit in the country, but apart from that, give us the latest updates on this particular raid by the GSU officers and other updates we are expecting to see today from Kisii County.
Thank you very much, Stanley and Flora. If you can hear me from this side of Kisii County, today we'll be talking about the various mashujas or heroines and heroes who had been here in Kisii County, and their families are not really compensated, being that the king from the England is coming this side, so he'll be here in Kenya today, and we'll be talking with various residents from Kisii County so that they'll be able to tell us what is their sentiments, what do they feel about the visit. Do they feel that the king should put an MOU with the president so that we say that these families have been compensated, meaning that they were among those who are freedom fighters who fought for the freedom that we are enjoying this time? I'll be here with me. I have one of the Kisii residents here, and who will be telling us what's the name and what is your expectation. What do you feel with this visitation of the king here in Kenya?
Asante sana. Kwa majina anaitwa Bernard Mugambi, mkazi na mzaliwa wa hapa Kisii County. Mimi naona hii safari ya King Charles watatu kutembelea Kenya pamoja na Malkia ni mzuri sana, ili wakumbuke mashujaa wetu wale waliweza kupigania taifa letu la Kenya. Mashujaa wetu wanaendelea kufa na umaskini, wengine pia hawajapata kuwa compensated tangu hiyo enzi za Mau Mau. Tukiangalia kama watu kama kina Deda ni Kimathi, tukikuja huku Kisii kuna mtu kama Otenyo alikuja akaiaga dunia, kichwa yake hatujaipata hadi wakati wa leo. So ningependa King Charles aguzie hiyo mambo, na kama watu wangefidiwa ama wangekuwa compensated, tafadhali serikali kuu ifuatilie hizi pesa, ipate kujengea hata watu nyumba, makazi, pahali pa kukaa, chakula mzuri. Pia wao walifanya they played the biggest role kwa sisi kukaa hapa hivi pale tumefikia kwa sasa hivi. Mimi ni hayo tu ningekuwa nayo.
Na pengine tuweze kupata vile vile mkazi mwingine atuelezee wewe hisia zako ni zipi kuhusiana na swala hili la safari hii ambayo inafanywa na mfalme huyu.
Okay, thank you. As that king is going to come to Kenya, I want to urge the government issue those my heroines and heroes kwa serikali wa compensate. Sababu most of those families, they are really very poor. They are very poor because some of them have died, but their generation is there. So it's upon to the government to put the measures so that they will come up with the inini ya kuwasaidia tu. We will compensate for sure. Yes.
Je, unahisi kwamba Wakenya kama pesa hizi zitatolewa, je, zitaweza kuwafikia familia hizi moja kwa moja?
Mimi sichihisi hivyo vizuri, lakini naomba serikali tafadhali, as they are going to be compensated, let the money be issued to those families. Although Kenyans hatuna imani kabisa, but let it be done.
Thank you very much, Stanley Nyaringeta and Flora Limuki. As you have heard it, those are just few sentiments of the residents from Kisii County. All they are wishing is that the King Charles be able to place an MOU with the president so that to make sure that these resident or these freedom fighters' families, because some of them they are not there, and to make sure that their families are compensated, and because most of them are living miserable lives, so that they're able to enjoy the freedom or the fruits of the sweat of their parents. That's what I have from this side of Kisii. I'll be passing the mantle back to you in studio, Stanley Nyaringeta and Flora Limuki.
All right, thank you for that. Alfaya Kombo just giving us an update on what is happening in Kisii. And well, it's going to be a busy day today.
Yes, and I hope you've learned some bit of history about what happened in Kenya, especially with the colonial period.
Taking notes.
We were literally taking notes here.
And you know, I had my lecturer there on the panel. Someone I really respect, and he was Mwalimu Nguru, the one seated at the left, okay. And he has some rich history. Oh, yes. And is an expert in diplomacy matters as well. Yeah. And it was full of diplomacy and issues to do with international relations. Oh, yeah. As we continue with our special coverage of the visit of King Charles III and Queen Camilla, it's an official state visit. They did arrive yesterday evening. This morning they're expected at State House for that official reception. And the king is to receive a full military honors. You know, there's a difference between what the head of state receives in as far as reception and what the prime minister or head of government receives. Oh, yes. So today will be full state honors for King Charles III.
Mm-hmm. And just a reminder also, even as they're going to go to Horo Garden, probably the whole matters traffic along Langata Road. Yes. If you're going to be playing that route, maybe try to use other routes and others that maybe the county will, you know, tell us. But then speaking of Barter's, you know, diary, today is Bansi's birthday.
Oh, you thought you're the only one who has a birthday today.
Today is our weekend.
Happy birthday, Bansi, yes, happy birthday, on the screen.
Oh, yeah. and there she is.
Bansi,
come,
Bansi.
Karibu sana. Karibu, Bansi. Our weekend queue. It's a Tuesday, but we are seeing you and...
Happy birthday.
Oh, the two birthday girls. Happy birthday, Bansi.
Thank you.
Yes.
Birthday girlies.
So it is a happy birthday to Bansi and happy birthday to Limuki.
Thank you.
So today is going to be celebrations all through.
Oh, yes.
And I think that's why the king is around.
Yeah, actually the king and the queen came to celebrate
and,
us.
well, Limuki, happy birthday to you.
Whoa.
Happy birthday, dear.
Thank you. Oh my God. Hi, you guys are extra.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Do we pop it here? No.
we will wait until the show is over so that we can pop it properly.
Whoa.
Anything you'd like to say?
Okay. So when did you plan this, guys?
We planned even the song that we sang at the beginning of the show. We've been having rehearsals this whole week.
Wow.
And I think you outdid yourself.
Oh, yes, the whole notes.
You outdid yourself, guys.
We will sing for you as well.
Yes.
Musical musicians. Yes. Okay. From someone special to Lemuki.
But then,
say something.
Not to forget also, today's on Tuesday, and because we do have a producer here, Lydia Maina, on Thursday is her birthday.
Oh, it's also your birthday this week.
Whoa, it's a birthday week. Yeah?
This is only the first cake, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have more cake as we celebrate the birthdays of these beautiful ladies here who make this production possible. Bansi Kimoyu, Lydia, and Lemuki as well.
Yes, definitely. That is where we have to wrap it up.
Yes, this is where we wrap up this show. There's some sense of urgency because we have cake to cut.
Yeah.
For folks to...
And thank you so much to whoever sent this. Ubarikiwe na unapenda wherever you are.
Yes.